Hey guys, I'm going to do another video. I'm taking this down to show you my insulation underneath or above the ceiling. You can see here that there is a lot of insulation. This from the top, that white part is the van metal. To the bottom, that's about 3 inches right there. I'm getting about 25 R value when I do it this way. A lot of people disagree with me. I've tried to, show them that yes, I am correct. I want to show you. Okay, so that's the van metal, right? There is a 3/4 inch gap, maybe a little bit less, maybe a 0.5 right there, between this the polyiso right here and the van metal on top. There is an air gap up there, and then below that there is actually a 3/4 inch gap, if not more, below that, and the Reflectix. This Reflectix then is attached to this plywood, and then the cedar below it is attached to the plywood. So what's happening here, the sun is radiating down onto the van metal itself, and that heats up the van metal, and then the van metal will radiate that leftover heat down onto this polyiso. Now this polyiso actually has a shiny part pointed upwards all throughout it. So this entire that entire polyiso right there, I can't see it, but there's shiny part faced upwards towards the air gap, which is pointing the heat back out of the van, back into the metal and out. So that air gap is the first thing that heats up. Since the polyiso is not touching the van, there is no conductive heat flowing through from the van metal to the polyiso itself. So the polyiso only heats up because of convection and radiation. So that's the convection is the air flow through the air space, and then the radiation is the air through space, as it radiates off objects like the sun. And so so if this polyiso was connected directly to the van metal, then the polyiso would heat up conductively with the metal itself, and the polyiso would get very hot after a while. And it's designed to heat up a lot slower and resist this process. But what would happen if it was connected directly to the van metal is that it would heat up and it itself would radiate down from the bottom of it onto the Reflectix. Then say a lot of people, what they do is put Reflectix directly onto the van metal itself. First of all, this is giving you an R value of 1.3. That's incorrect. You need to have an airspace. As you see, if I can bring you up here with my GoPro that I have, that's that's a good airspace. That's throughout the entire van. It's like that. I'm just showing you part of it, but yeah, that's what it's like from the front to the back. So so let me explain then. Say I connected this Reflectix to the van metal itself, and there was nothing else except for the the plywood and everything. So what would happen, the sun would heat up the van metal and then immediately heat up the Reflectix as well, and the Reflectix would radiate down just as if there was nothing there. Almost it would be an R 1.3, which it wouldn't do shit. It wouldn't do anything. You would basically be better off probably not even putting any Reflectix on there in the first place, because it's just costing you money, lots of money, to put that Reflectix up. That stuff's expensive. So what you want to do instead is put an air gap between the Reflectix and the van metal, and better yet, do what I did, put a layer of polyiso in there first. The polyiso makes it take a long time for the airspace above it first to heat up, and then the polyiso heats up and then radiates down as the last step, or the second to last step actually. Then the heat has to go through the Reflectix, and then finally through the wood. So yes, I am getting an R value of about R25. If anyone disagrees with me, go ahead and comment below, but I'm gonna show you why I'm right. Let's see, if you actually look at the if you actually look at the diagrams on the Reflectix package itself, you can see that you get an R21 value if you put 2 3/4 inch gaps and then have 2 pieces of Reflectix. So what I did, I have 1 piece of Reflectix here, and there's another reflective material above this polyiso, so that gives me R21 at least, plus my insulation that I'm getting from the polyiso. That's like 6 right there, so I'm just adding them together, plus the air spaces, plus the wood. That gives me some insulation right here too. Wood is insulation. I have air gaps in between its molecular structure. So don't attach anything directly to the van metal itself, because you're going to be getting conductive heat flow through the objects themselves. Always have spaces between things. That's why I was okay with lessening my headroom in the van. I still have plenty of headroom in here, but like during the day when the sun is scorching hot down onto the metal of the van, the roof, you can put your hand on it. It's really hot. Sometimes you can't even touch it, but still this wood is almost cool to the touch, almost completely cool to the touch still when it's a hot ass day. Right now I'll show you, it is at 87 in here, 32% humidity. And this is very cool to the touch right now. It's the same temperature as you know, the room temperature. Yeah, so basically just know those things and stop doing things incorrectly. One last thing to go over: Reflectix is not to be used as a vapor barrier inside of an RV. There are certain times when you will use Reflectix as a vapor barrier. Yes, I'm not saying don't use it as one, but the thing is that the van metal itself is already a vapor barrier, and it's a very good one at that. So what you're doing by adding another vapor barrier below it without ventilating it is you're allowing moisture to be trapped by the vapor barrier that is the van metal, and the vapor barrier that is the Reflectix. So between these two items, if you put the Reflectix directly on the van metal itself, it's going to trap all that moisture between it, and it's not gonna have anywhere to go. So you always have an airspace and always have it ventilated. My ceiling is ventilated from there's a gap right here on the sides. You see there's one on that side and another on this side. You can actually see up there, it is ventilated. I can put my whole finger all the way up into the insulation part of it. So the thing is that for this to work correctly, the way I planned this out, the air, okay, so the air is heating up above here, those 2 air gaps, they get you know, the space is heating up and everything. So what happens is that the air is allowed to flow off the side here. Now hot air rises, so it's not going to be coming out the side and making the whole place hot. But the thing is that with this airflow, because I have the fan on, my idea was that any hot air that accumulates up on this top surface, the ceiling, it's going to just flow right out. And then I have another vent down over here, which I can open up. I don't know if you can see it now. You can, that I opened it. The air will flow in over here over my head, and then like while I'm sleeping, because this is where I put my head at night, and then the air you know, it'll flow over my body and out. So the hot air rises, and you know, that's the point of that. That's why the fan is on the ceiling and not on the floor. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I am I am Ryan Bell, if you don't know who I am. I've been living in this van now for 3 months about, and yeah, go ahead and hit subscribe if you liked what you've seen, and if you disagree with me, go ahead and comment below in the comments. But yeah, have a good one, guys. Thank you.